You're listening to Phil DeBella, and this is FlashCast by PDB. And the topic I'm going to tackle today is all about building strong relationships. So I've been asked by many of our listeners on the importance of relationships, and especially in the business world, as I start to build what will be the next phase of my business, which will be the coffee commune. More about that next time. But as I build a new business from, transitioning from the exit and sale completely of DeBella Coffee to my new project called the Coffee Commune, where coffee community comes to collaborate. It's been more evident to me the importance of relationships, as obviously I've transitioned from the old business and creating the new business, and how so many people have been supportive and already want to be on board and the rest of it. And the common denominator there is relationships. And so I want to tackle that today. Many listeners have been asking questions around the concept of relationships. What do they mean? Some tips, and how do I build better business relationships, and the importance of it. So that's what I'm going to tackle today in the next 10 minutes in this flashcast. So, in the concept of building better business relationships, it's authenticity to me is always number one. So I talk about authenticity. You want to build strong, authentic relationships, because anything that's not based on authenticity is going to fall over at some point. And the concept of a relationship to me is with them. What's in it for me and what's in it for you? So it's a very strong marketing term we talk about, but it's the importance of a relationship is that there's got to be beneficial outcomes for both parties. Any relationship that relies on a beneficial for just one party is already starting off on the wrong foot and would become slanted. So any relationship, and that's whether it's business, personal, professional, needs to be on the level of with them, of what's in it for me and what's in it for you. And the people that operate best in this are constantly not so much looking at it what's in it for them first, they're looking in it at what's in it for the other person. And if you're working with people that are constantly working on what they can do for you versus what they can take from you, this is a great way to measure the strength of a relationship. And that's something that I do often, is I stop and I look and say, is this person more interested in taking something from me or doing something for me? And I do the same for myself, that I know it's always, I measure that I like doing things for people, or am I just looking to get something from this person? Because when you're in a relationship where it's all about what's in it for me and what's in it for them, you've got this beautiful waltz happening and balance, and then from there, it's the basis of it is authenticity. In order to operate clearly in that space, it needs to be authentic. So a few little steps on building a better business. Number one is set a positive tone. Everything operates better when it's in positivity, not negative. So it's got to be a positive tone. It's got to come from the intention of a good space. Number two is know what your value proposition is. What have you got to offer that is of value, and what has the other person got to offer that is of value? Number three is you've got to understand there's got to be gain for both parties. Now, gain doesn't mean always financial. Gain can be relationships. Gain is any resource. A deeper, meaningful relationship. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but even when you're losing, you're gaining. You've got to remember that concept of gain is not just about money. Number four is understand humility. There's got to be times where humility's got to be a basis. You've got to be humble. You've got to have that ability to own your errors, own your mistakes, and make sure that you're operating in the space of humility. Next one is make sure that you're embracing your own personality. And this, again, all of these sit under that concept of authenticity. Embrace your personality. Remember that everybody's unique. Not everybody's the same. The concept is about being the best you can be, not the best that you want somebody else or what you think somebody else wants you to be. It's all about keeping that authentic, good space, so embrace your personality. Next one is, and this is really a really strong one where people get themselves in trouble, is manage your expectation. I always say I'm not going to promise something I can't deliver, and I don't want somebody promising something that they can't deliver. So it's always about managing expectation. From here you could come from a place of, okay, what's the worst case scenario versus what's the best case scenario? We need to make sure that we're setting expectations at a manageable level. And I say to people, don't promise what you can't deliver. Set an expectation or understand your expectation, understand the other party's expectation. Because if you do that, you'll always make sure that you won't disappoint. And making sure that, obviously, and leading on to the last one, is that you're always communicating. Poor communication is the common denominator of failure. I say that time and time again, that things fail when people don't communicate. And unfortunately, a lot of times what happens is that when things are going wrong or things are in a difficult spot, people start to freeze up. They actually start to, hibernate. They start to sort of pull away and not hear from them. And you'll see that upon reflection in your own life, you'll see that times that, things are all start to get difficult, a lot of people stop communicating. You don't hear from them, and what happens there is that you actually start to wonder, well, what's going on? How is it that, we're in this space where we are right now? What do I need to do better? How can I be better? So it's quite the opposite. When things are starting to go wrong or they're not going to plan, then that is the time that you have to over-communicate, communicate more, and make sure that you're keeping people across things so that they understand what's going on. So here's 7 points to me of how to build a better business relationship. But, it's very important to keep things authentic, to keep things open, to set manageable expectation. But all of these 7 things fall under the line of an authentic relationship. And an authentic relationship, coming back to the start of it, is all about understanding the WIFM, what's in it for me and what's in it for you. What can we do for each other, not what can we take from each other. The next part I want to touch on is building and nurturing, which is probably a better way to say it, is once you've built those relationships, how do you actually nurture those relationships in your network? How do you nurture those professional relationships, amongst your peers, amongst your clients, because this is important. One thing that I always do is I make sure that I congratulate people when it's needed. Now, whether it's a birthday, whether it's a promotion, or whether they've had a win, whether they've had a baby, bought a new pet, whatever it is, the opportunity to understand, and that builds the engagement. So let me start, by saying, the way to nurture your relationship with your network is to build emotional engagement. And great ways to build emotional engagement are, one is congratulate them. Congratulate people when things happen. Again, it doesn't matter how big or small the win is, but if there's a win, then congratulate them, because this starts to build engagement. Next one is be in service to somebody. So one of the great ways to be in service to someone, and I love doing this, is providing professional leads, whether it's connecting a supplier to a cafe, or to a roaster to a cafe, or a barista for a job to a cafe. Provide leads to people, help them build their business. I talk about helping people accelerate their potential. So if you're in service to somebody and you do these things, you start to build emotional engagement, which in turn nurtures your relationship. Number 3 is the art of giving. There's a great book by Bob Berg called The Go-Giver, and it's a fantastic book that talks about, giving. And giving can be giving of time. It can be something small, a little flower, a chocolate on the desk. That art of giving is also another way to emotionally connect and nurture a relationship. And sometimes it's giving a handwritten note, sending a text, an emoji. Sometimes it's, like I said, buying them a bottle of wine to say thank you. Something I did very often when I started my business, when somebody helped me get a new client, I would take them a bottle of scotch or a bottle of wine to say thank you. And it's not the item that matters, you'll find, it's the thought and the art behind it. Next one is value their opinion. Make sure that you're constantly asking questions and what they think and what they believe and in what you're doing, and how you're going about something. Again, this builds emotional engagement, this nurtures relationships. Show them that their opinion counts and that you care what they have to say. Another one is, in the world of technology, to ensure that we're meeting in person, the art of what a lot of people have forgotten. I've always made sure I don't bury people down in emails, so I send a lot of videos, of myself. Unfortunately, they've got to look at my face, but it connects a lot more emotionally, which nurtures my network. Rather than always sending an email, I'll send a 30-second video with the message on it, and this just provides a bit of a different level of communication and engagement. Or I try and catch up with people for a coffee or for a drink in person, because nothing beats that face-to-face, interaction. Another one is making sure that you stay in constant contact. Now, that doesn't mean not every day, not every minute, but it's relevant to the relationship, but make sure you're checking in with each other. You're checking in and making sure that you're seeing how people are going. that they're there, they're okay. How can you be in service to them? Because again, this shows care. And the number one thing that I learned from the DeBella days is that our clients loved care. It was the number one thing that meant to them. So there's some tips. Today's been all about nurturing, building relationships. I hope that this helps you. Go and be the best you can be and build amazing, strong bonds with people. Until next time, you've been listening to Phil DeBella, and this is FlashCast by PDB.